One second. Okay. Slow the spread is an attempt to see whether there are any strategies that can help us slow the spread of COVID-19. As many people are aware, COVID-19 is a fatal virus that emerged in 2019, and scientists are still trying to find
Hi.
an antidote. So the virus is transmitted.
Noor? I'm so sorry to interrupt you guys. Can you just hold on a moment before you start, please? I'm really sorry to interrupt. I can see you got into the mood, but just hang on a bit, okay?
No problem.
Okay, ladies, please do go ahead and start. Sorry, I had to keep you girls waiting. Actually, the first group to go in the Slow the Spread group should be Abdullah and Muhammad. Are they here or not yet? I don't believe they're here. Okay, so Noor and Jude, you girls can go ahead.
لا Miss Yusra, we are here حبيبتي. But let me go. Let me just
طيب
leave the other meeting. I will leave the other meeting. Okay. Yep. Now I will start presenting.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Abdullah and Muhammad, are you ready?
Yes, you're ready.
Please start presenting your screen.
Okay. So, Ms. Rania, should we start?
Yes. Give me 1 second, ya Muhammad. I'll just present in the other side.
Okay.
Yep. Start, ya Muhammad. تفضل.
Okay.
Welcome everyone. My name is Hamid Hassan, and today we're going to be talking about the slow spread of COVID-19. Go to the next slide, Abdullah. Okay. As we start now to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic that has changed our lives now and before too. And as students, we created this project to use a human-centered design to use this process to come up with a solution that help people to slow the spread of COVID-19 and their communities. And as a shortcut, we can see that it helps us to create a good solution to find based on our understanding and based to solve the COVID-19 solutions of the slow spread. You can go to the next slide, Abdullah. Okay, and now we're going to be talking about the fluids that moves in COVID-19. As we understand now in these pictures, as a simple way, that the fluids can move as transmitted easily from one person to another. But at the odds that social distancing helps to reduce diseases that we can understand from. But the numbers who are sick, and we need them to reduce, but how we reduce them, to understand in physics and to create a system as them. You can go to the next slide, Abdullah. Okay, so understanding in physics, we used it to Bernoulli's equation. As we use the Bernoulli equation to find out a solution that's really related to physics, to using the slow spread of it. So basically, Abdullah, go to, yeah, okay. Okay, stop here. Okay, so here we had the pressure and the speed and the height that has 2 points that use the fluids on it. And the equation here represents as the pressure and the velocity that between the height of the Bernoulli's equation, as you see here. Abdullah, you can go now to the next slide. Here is an example that's related to the Bernoulli's equation. We applied it with the formula, and in a very simple way, we got the answer, and we got the absolute pressure for the Bernoulli's equation. You can go now to the next slide. Okay, now we're going to talk about the factors that determine the safe distance for the COVID-19 slow spread. So as we understand, there's some topics or reasons we can understand about safe distance and how we apply it also in physics form. So basically we used the basic principle of fluid motion, and we continued the principle of the constant of it. And we added also the why does a roof blow in high winds, and that's also related to a pressure between them. And this is like how you determine a safe distance between it, and also how it moves as fast as slow and flow as we use in the Bernoulli principle, and how it blow over the air in the last picture, and how it rise as fluids, and that's all determined as safe distance. You can go to the next slide, Abdullah. As we understand here, how the COVID-19 spread through a droplet alone. So in this picture, determines how findings suggest that the transmission of COVID-19 sometimes play a part in who people are also like have the virus. So we understand now that the transmission of droplets happens when a person in direct contact with someone who has coughing or sneezing or breathing problems in lungs or signs. You can go to the next slide, Abdullah. So we understand here the thing that we can use in physics. We can use the formula of the effect wind regarding virus transmission in physics formula. We use this formula to apply and to get the droplets alone, the transmission. And we understand here to apply it and to get the wind regarding virus. We applied with the formula with the numbers and we got it. And here how physics is helping to fight against COVID-19. Those are some categories are helping to find the COVID-19 solutions. We have the frames of reference, and we have the flow over an airplane wing, and we have some stream around a wing, and we have the control surface on a plane that also helps to fight against COVID-19, and like some categories that also helps related to it. You can go to the next slide, Abdullah. Okay, as we understand here, let me give a short brief about the spread of COVID-19 that affect by changing the seasons. So we understand here that during the seasons, COVID-19 spread over changes all the time. By summer, it dies, and during sunlight exposure, completely it's gone. But when you have, for example, winter or a fall, it increases in these humidity times sometimes, and this regardless that's related to COVID-19 area. You can go to the next slide, Abdullah. And here some the conversion related to physics. We added to convert the affection of the temperature and seasons for each of one of them. So about Fahrenheit and Kelvin and Celsius. And this is related to our COVID-19 affected changing skills. And now Abdullah, you can go with your model. Start with the model, yes. You can talk, Abdullah.
Okay, hello everybody. Today I will talk about my model. So basically our model is a mask that continuously measure our temperature, which will result the following 3 points: eliminating expensive thermal cameras, and the mask will have fault detection capabilities, and there'll be an app that notify you if the temperature is abnormal. So basically all this can be done by designing a chipset called the R2, which is a chipset that has been designed to be as efficient as possible to maintain a long battery life and efficient thermal management. Can be done by having 3 processing cores, 1 high-performance core, and 2 efficient cores, and should cost around $35 to manufacture. Also, this mask will have a rechargeable battery, which is the DL2032, and there are 3 gold contact points behind the mask, which you can use to charge the mask. Now, let me elaborate on the 3 points I just said. So, eliminating expensive thermal cameras. This means that the mask can communicate with any certified RFID receiver to send any information, which is your temperature. Also, this RFID receiver can be found in malls, restaurants, and pretty much anywhere that requires temperature checks. A common example of RFID chips being used is silent gates in some highways in Dubai. Now, the mask has fault detection capabilities. This is perfect because this feature can make sure that elderly people are safe. For example, if an old man is infected with COVID-19 or he faints, the mask can detect that and call emergency services immediately. You can see a similar feature in the Apple Watch. There will be an app that can notify you if your temperature is abnormal. When this app detects an abnormal temperature, it will ask you some questions, like if you have any COVID-19 symptoms or whether it's recommended to seek help or no. Which type of temperature sensor will this mask use? So this mask will use the SMD0805, which is one of the latest temperature sensors that is in this modern day. And how does a temperature sensor work? Basically, it's a device that measures temperature readings through electric signals. The sensor is made of 2 metals which generate electrical voltage or resistance once it notices change in temperature. And this is how you can see it. This is the temperature equation. Now, how does an NFC works? So basically, it's a chip and an antenna. The chip holds the data and the antenna communicates with the reader, the NFC reader. How does the Bluetooth work? Well, a Bluetooth device works by using radio waves instead of wire or cable to connect to your cell phone or smartphone or whatever device that has Bluetooth. Muhammad, can you explain this?
Okay, as we understand from Abdullah now, our model represents as transportation of filtration for COVID-19. As you see in these pictures represent the process, how COVID moves when we use filtration process. And we use it as Mixer website, so we can get the transportation of COVID-19. Abdullah, you can go next slide.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to be explaining about the filtration process. So filtration process used by a face mask that has a mechanism that has also requirements that related to mask filters exactly, and how it's enough with the size small and how the particles are related into it, and how that has also a small prevents that can also have an individual breathing. And so mask filters also have the optimized to use 3 principles that represents now down. We have the micron and larger in size. We have the diffusion, and we have the electrostatic attraction that's related to the filtration principle process. And the important one is the diffusion because it's really related to the operation of the 3 important principles. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so as here now we have the part that used to design also. We use here a filtration mechanism that's really important for our model. So basically, to run the motion of the molecules and the position of the flow, here it's more concentration when the particles moves to each other. So one when it has the electrostatic attraction, and the other also have electrostatic attraction. But as we understand in these pictures, B is more important because there is an interception between them. So when the virus can increasingly intercept between it and take it out by using the filtration process and by using the filtration mechanism. Abdullah, you can continue.
So here you can see this is the standard measurements for a mask. There's small, medium, and large. So this mask also will use the same standard measurements. Now I'm going to show you like a more zoom in on the model. So this is the prototype, and then this is the final design. So as you can see, there's like a square. This is an LED light that indicates if there's a high or abnormal temperature. It will light blue or red. And And also inside this ring, there are two chipset and the temperature sensor. Now behind the mask, there are two optical sensors that detect if you're wearing the mask or no. If you're not wearing the mask, what will happen is the mask will go in an ultra power mode, so it can preserve battery. Also, which means it will stop measuring your temperature. Also, you can see another ring of a LED, and this will show that if it's charging or it's on or off. And now I'm gonna show you a 3D model. Just give me a sec. Can you see?
We see.
Alright. So you can see this is the LED light, the ring, and inside there's the R2 chipset and the temperature sensor. And then again, this is the two optical sensors, and this is the 3 gold contact points for charging, and this is another LED light for checking if that's on or off or it's charging. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. So, in conclusion, the spread of COVID-19 seems to be lower in warm and wet climates. Furthermore, temperature and humidity alone do not explain most of the variability of COVID-19 outbreak. Public isolation policies, herd immunity, and migration patterns, population density, and cultural aspects might directly influence how the spread of this disease occurs. Thus, weather conditions associated with the health policies is a knowledge of great value for the benefits of the humanity in this critical period. And this is the skill we gained. So we gained research skills and modeling skills, like for example using SketchUp, and problem solving, time management, and creativity, and teamwork and organization.
Exactly.
This is the references. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something new.
Yes, thank you so much. You're welcome, Mr. Rani.
Thank you, boys, for that outstanding presentation. Let's move on to the next group. We have Noor and Jude. Are you girls ready to present?
Yes. Yeah, give us a second.
All right, go ahead, girls.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. My name is Jude, and Noor, Sai, and I are going to be presenting our chemistry PBL about slow the spread. So let's get started.
Okay, starting off with the introduction. Slow the spread is an attempt to see whether there are any strategies that can help slow the spread of COVID-19. As many people are aware, COVID-19 is a fatal virus that emerged in 2019, and scientists are still trying to find its antidote. So this virus is transmitted when an infected individual receives droplets caused by sneezing or coughing or even exhaling. And when these droplets come in contact with other individuals, it infects them as well, and causes them to suffer from the symptoms of the virus. The high occurrence of COVID-19 cases in such a speedy period of time causes us all to undertake quarantine, distance ourselves, wear masks, gloves, and use hand sanitizer as often as possible. It is highly significant and urgent to interrupt the transmission chain of this virus through contact isolation and strict infection control tools and products, and following face masks. Appropriate hand hygiene is of utmost importance, as hands may be contaminated from direct contact with any contaminated surfaces or even with contaminated air. Moving along to the hypothesis, where we will discover the right ways to slow the spread, focusing mainly on hand sanitizers and how to modify hand sanitizers to make them a lot more effective and useful. And we're also going to try to study the hand sanitizers' active ingredients, structures, chemical percentages, and additives to discover the best formulation that is the most effective to help save lives. Now to the scientific background. The hand sanitizer, also known as the hand antiseptic or hand rub, is an agent that is applied to the hands in order to remove common pathogens. In most hand sanitizers, there's a percentage of either 60 or 70 of the main and only ingredient and only active ingredient, ethyl alcohol or ethanol alcohol. Now, more than 96% of ethanol alcohol should be present in a hand sanitizer because any higher percentages would be considered as toxic and not suitable for human use. Here we have the solubility of the hand sanitizer and the Lewis structure of ethanol alcohol as well. And hand sanitizers are widely available in various forms, such as foam, gel, or even liquid. And alcohols and hand sanitizers destroy disease-causing agents, also known as pathogens, by breaking apart proteins, splitting cells into pieces, or messing with a cell's metabolism. Ethanol alcohol is infinitely soluble, and its chemical formula is C2H6O. It is colorless and flammable and is what mainly contributes to the disinfection executed by hand sanitizers. Crucial additives such as water act as carriers for the ingredients, and the alcohols and the other additives like fragrances, glycerin, hydrogen peroxide, or emollients, which work together to protect the skin from the alcohol's drying effects, or to neutralize any acidic effects, or to give the product its desired color, shape, texture, and smell.
Okay, so moving along to the materials part. Through these two formulas, we first mentioned two types of hand sanitizers as the formula which fits our best had to be found. We compared the two formulas as well as the various ingredients used in their manufacture. So, ethanol, most of the sanitizers use ethanol as their basis, and numerous studies have shown that this is the preferred formula with 60% to 80% alcohol. Isopropanol, so like ethanol is the most popular sanitizer brand where like it's most used like with sanitizer brands, whereas isopropanol, it's used as its disinfection alcohol by one of the leading brands today, Cosmo, and most of its hand sanitizers have an alcohol content of 70%. So we laid out and tested a bunch of percentages as shown for each chemical. So with ethanol, we started off with 50%. 50% ethanol alcohol is totally ineffective as it has a 1-to-1 ratio of alcohol to the other ingredients. 70% ethanol alcohol could be the best recipe because it isn't just as dry and disinfects well. Also, many popular brands use this percentage. 80% ethanol alcohol may be too dry, but it disinfects after application in approximately 27 seconds. Now for isopropanol, as the recommended alcohol and percentage for everyday use, hand sanitizers, 70% alcohol could be useful in a great method. So in the procedure, we had 5 main steps using our research data and asking experts, formulation, experimenting, and results. When asking experts, we have to seek professionals and frontline workers for accurate information in order to get it. We feel they have the most up-to-date information on everything going on, and they could definitely assist us in identifying the missing parts in hand sanitizers. And obviously, many hand sanitizer companies that we reached out to didn't respond, sadly. However, we took an alternative. We did ask pharmacists that might have known a thing or two about our topic, and these pharmacists backed up the conclusion we conducted from this comparison. So in the next step, which is formulation, we have 2 formulas. First formula, which has 80% ethanol, 1.45% glycerin, 0.125% hydrogen peroxide, 3.5% sterile water, and 15% aloe vera gel. The second formula, it has 70% isopropanol, 0.15% glycerin, 0.125% hydrogen peroxide, and 30% of QS water. So when experimenting, we obviously, by the way, for the 2 formulas, we studied them and we researched the sanitizer's active ingredients formula and percentage, also additives to find the best formulation. So we investigated with each formula using a test kit, testing them on a COVID-19 infected surface and determining which one was more efficient in diminishing the virus's potency and ability to spread and pollute other regions, or which one could entirely eradicate the virus if possible. For the results, We undoubtedly suffered certain difficulties that we tried to overcome. We did, however, make our final decision on the best alcohol mixture for sanitizers. We agreed that ethanol, the first formula, is the right alcohol based on our experimentation and statistics. We also created a digital model to demonstrate what the bottle would look like. Now with data analysis with Noor.
Okay, after thorough experiments and evaluations were executed to fill this diagram in front of us, we can conclude from it that the concentration percentage of ethanol alcohol in a hand sanitizer has a directly proportional relationship with the reduction of the virus, as in the higher the percentage of ethanol present in the hand sanitizer, the more effective it is. And this can also be proven because when hand sanitizer is applied to a contaminated area, when a hand sanitizer is applied to a contaminated area, the high concentration of alcohols like ethanol alcohol found in our new and improved formula of the hand sanitizer makes the hydrophobic effect found within the virus disappear, giving the molecules more room to move around and causing the cell membrane of the virus to weaken and eventually collapse. Next, we have this diagram, which is also referred to as a flatten the curve diagram, which suggests that with the consideration of protective measures, such as applying our hand sanitizer regularly, we could work together as a society to eradicate this virus. Now, in conclusion, after comparing different formulations, we have successfully finalized our new and improved hand sanitizer that highlights the benefits of ethanol alcohol to help slow the spread. And now to talk about the hardships and to reflect on the hardships that we faced. I think that my teammates and I conducted a creative project and took an interesting approach to this issue. We might have faced some hardships along the way due to the lack of available studies done on this topic when we started it, and the lack that could be used as sources of information to back up our findings, and due to the inability of physically experimenting together as a group with the ingredients of studying the chemical reactions from a first-hand point of view.
Yeah, I agree with Noor, and I'd like to believe that we conducted great research, the best we could at least, due to our lack of information and the freshness of this disease. A couple of teenagers will hardly be able to find the right tools and measures for this problem. Also, not having any access to a lab put us at a disadvantage. So, yeah, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, you can ask Saya.
Thank you, girls, for that outstanding presentation. And I do disagree with you that age is not a restriction. It's not a barrier to contributing or anything like that. So great presentation. Thank you for that. We'll move on to the next group now.
And next group is from my side, Ms. Yusra, so I'll start presenting.
Okay, they're ready? Go ahead. Thank you.
Wait, just give me a second. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Saeed Al-Jahi. I'm a senior and a graduate high school student at Dubai National School Al Barsha. And today I'm going to talk to you about our first term CDI project, which is the Smart Corona Gear. And how did we come up with this idea? So what happened was that I once went to the mall and I saw that a security guard was the one taking the temperature of other people. And then I thought to myself, like, why would a human do that? Isn't he gonna get infected if one of the people he is taking the temperature of had the coronavirus? And then I came up with this creative idea. So what is our creative idea? Our creative idea is to create and invent a gateway that detects if the passerby has a high temperature or not. And if the passerby has a high temperature, the gate will close from both sides and not allow the sick person to run away. And at the same time, the alarm is gonna start ringing, which is going to alert people to stay away from the sick person. So in our project, we use a lot of components. And as we know, for every Arduino project, we need a motherboard. And in our project, we use the Arduino Uno motherboard. We also used a lot of components, one of them being the breadboard. We also used 2 servo motors for the gates, and we used an alarm buzzer to be able to alarm the people around the infected person. And lastly, and most importantly, we used a thermometer sensor to be able to detect if the passerby has a high temperature or not. So how does our project work? So the way that our project works and functions, as I said, revolves mainly around the Arduino Uno thermometer that we have learned about after extensive amount of research. So the Arduino thermometer is going to be attached to the gateway, and it's going to check the temperature of people passing through. And if the thermometer detects someone with a high temperature, and as we know, the high temperature is one of the most pronounced symptoms of COVID-19, the servo motors attached to the gate are going to close and not let the person run away while the alarm buzzer starts working. So here is a simple algorithm that you can use to understand. So if the person has a low temperature, nothing happens. And if he has a high temperature, the servo motors are going to close the exits and the alarm is going to go off. So how will this change the world? Here are some benefits, and some of them is that it's going to stop sick people from running away, and it's going to end coronavirus. It will also reduce the panic amongst people as they are aware of how safe and accurate the machine is. So here is our group members. سعيد عمارة, أحمد سعيد, خليفة الشامسي, سيد سلطان, Ahmed Abed, and of course our beloved teacher, Mr. Sham, which was our supervisor for this project. Now I'm going to show you the code that we used for this project, and here it is. So in our programming, we use 3 main libraries, which are the servo motor library, the wire library, and the Adafruit MLX 90614 library, which is going to control the thermometer and get us the values that we need. So all of this program revolves around this simple mission, which is that if the thermometer sensor detects that the temperature of the passerby is higher than temperature, in most cases, the servo motors are going to start working and close the gate, and the alarm is going to get a high value, which is going to make it go off, and the high value presents the alarm going on. And as you can see here, if something else happened, which is in our case that the thermometer doesn't detect a temperature that is higher than 38 degrees, nothing is going to happen to the motors, and the alarm is going to have a low value. So listening, and at the end, I'd like to thank Mr. Sham for making this year a really fun year, and trying to explain everything to us in the simplest way possible. So thank you, Mr. Sham, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Saeed Omar. Can we see the video, Saeed?
Okay, teacher, I'll try to bring it up here. So here, it might take a while to open. Loading.
And here I have a hot cup of water. And there is the center where they will put their hand in.
Right.
So to see, as they put the hot, the door closes and this starts. And when I take so, when I put it again, it stops. See, that motor is trying so hard to get it done.
Yeah, the motor was broken when I was working at the project, and this is the only video that they have. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Saeed.
Thank you, boys, for that excellent presentation and for a very interesting project as well. Let's move on to the next.
Thank you. I really love the spirit of Saeed. MashaAllah, he's an amazing student. Lucky that we had him at the end of our groups in the boys section. And Ms. Yusra, you shall proceed with the rest of the groups in the girls section. Thank you so much.
بعد Ms. Rania, we have another group. We have another group here, Muhammad Sayyid, Muhammad Abdullah, and Muhammad Khalid.
Are they
Yes, please. يلا محمد تفضل.
Yes, yes. The second group is ready also, Miss Yusra.
Okay, go ahead, please.
يلا محمد صقر ومحمد عبد الله ومحمد خالد. Please present your screen and start.
Teacher, I'm not with them. I
طيب.
have
طيب. محمد
presented.
عبد الله ومحمد صقر. Yes.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Sakhr, and today me and my partner Mohammed Abdullah are going to talk about our CDI project, which is called Visitor Count. So first we'll discuss how did we get our idea of the project. So because of the pandemic of COVID-19, we needed to find some ways in order to keep our community safe. So we decided to design a project called the Visitor Count, which will basically be able to identify the number of people in a specific place or an apartment to make sure they are committed to the precautions. In our project, we have used the IR sensor, which is used to calculate the number of people in a room or an apartment. And if the number of people are allowed to be in the room exceeds the number allowed, they allow the people if there are cases in the room. And the IR sensor consists of two LED lights. The white LED light transmits the IR rays, but the black one receives the IR rays.
Here are the required materials that we used. The main parts are the Arduino and motherboard and the breadboard here, which most of the project will use it. And there is some unique parts, which is the IR sensor and the relay model, which we use it in this project. And here are a simulation of our project, how it will look like. Here the code that we used, it was hard to make the code because not everything that we completed in the school was in it. So we searched, and with the help of Mr. Hisham, we come up with the code. And now we have a video to show you how did the project work.
محمد عبد الله, do you have the video? محمد عبد الله.
هي ثواني استاذ الحين بفتح.
Okay, boys, thank you so much for that presentation. I believe we can move on to the next one now. So we have Saleha, Miriam, and Dream. Are you ladies ready to begin your presentations?
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, great. Go ahead, please.
Can you see my screen?
No, I can't see your screen.
Okay. No?
Yes, now we can see it.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Today we'll be explaining our physics project, which is Slow the Spread, with my group mates, Saleha and Dream. Starting off with the introduction. So the present COVID-19 epidemic has touched us all. The pandemic's impact and consequences, however, the consequences, however, are perceived differently depending on our standing as people and members of society. While some strive to adjust to working online, educating their children, and buying food through delivery services, others are forced to be infected in order for society to operate. In the meanwhile, we have came up with an invention called built-in UVC lights in sanitizers, supermarket fridges. Hopefully, it will slow the spread of corona in supermarkets since they are the most type of places where cross-contamination occurs. We will apply physics to understand and tackle the various difficulties that arise during the disease.
Hypothesis. Now, what have we hypothesized? As we know that supermarkets can sometimes be considered as crowded places, so we stated previously that we came up with a plan to help in slowing down the spread of coronavirus by using built-in UV lights and adding to it automatic alcohol sprinklers inside the refrigerators. A recent study published in the American Journal of Infection Control showed that the use of UVC lights can kill large amounts of coronavirus in just 9 minutes. We also calculated the duration of time that COVID-19 survives on a surface, and the period of its survival is determined by a number of factors such as the type of surface, temperature, relative humidity, and lastly, virus strain. The idea we're proposing is to destroy viruses in supermarket refrigerators to prevent them from spreading to other people. We will also install automated alcohol sprinkler fridges when the UVC is turned off, and the COVID-19 transmission curve would be decreased if UVC lamps were utilized in refrigerators.
Our background research. So we found many physics equations that could help us answer several questions. The first question we were able to answer was how long would it take for a virus containing droplet to contaminate a surface by gravity? So this is the equation. So we had a numerical example of this equation where we used a man of approximately 1.5 meters of height and a radius of about 10 micrometers, which took about 1.3 seconds to contaminate a surface. The second question we answered is how long will the droplet be in the air before it evaporates and before it transmits to another person? So this is the equation. It takes into account the relative humidity of the area. The third concept we could understand was the dynamics of the droplets in the air during transmission. So this is a differential equation which represents Newton's second law. It takes into account the mass of the droplet and the initial velocity of the droplet.
So, material and procedure. So in order to be able to build our project, we need certain materials, and those materials include ultraviolet C lamps, automatic alcohol sprinklers, quartz glass, sensors, and supermarket fridges. So first of all, we will be installing UVC light inside the supermarket fridges. With addition to on the side, as you can see, those are the sanitizing sprays. And you will also be adding the quartz glass directly under the UVC light. So as we all know, UV can be harmful to people's skin, and UVC C type is the highest one with the highest frequency. So the quartz glass has a really thick composition, which can help in cutting down the frequency of the waves. And also, we will be having the light on only 60 minutes in the morning and 60 minutes in the evening and 60 minutes at night. And between those time intervals, we'll be having the sprinklers opened so they can sanitize the products, but they'll also be turned off to not ruin the products. And at the same time, the sensors will be detecting if the door was opened or not. In case the sprinklers were on, they would turn off and not spray the customer that opened the door. And moving on to our model. So the first stage of executing our model was to make a really simple sketch to only know how to build our model after to develop it. And then we made more of a rough sketch to be able to present it to our teacher and for her to understand what we are actually searching about and doing this project.
After we were done from the rough sketches, we finally created our own 3D model. We built this model on the website Tinkercad, and we did our best to apply our graphic design expertise to this research. This purple material you can see above is the UVC light, and the blue glass under it is the quartz glass. As we mentioned earlier, it's there to avoid people from getting harmed from the UVC light waves. The black circles at the sides of the refrigerator are the automatic aqua sprinklers, and they splash alcohol when the UV lights are turned off, but the splashing is not continuous to avoid damaging any product inside the refrigerator.
Our data analysis. So we discovered an equation which will help us understand how long should the UVC light be for. So this is an equation which helped us calculate how long the UVC light should be on, and here's a numerical application on the screen.
So here we have a video, but it's not working. So in our video, we explain our journey and how we were able to overcome our difficulties and such. So the difficulties we faced were the graphing, doing the model, because we don't have that much of background on graphic design. So we tried our best to do the model that satisfied our teacher and our research. And the second difficulty we faced was the physics, because the physics that we found during our research was advanced physics, and we are electricity and magnetism students with physics 1. So we tried our best to be able to apply the physics formulas in our research. And what we learned and what we benefited from this PBL is that we learned how to communicate with each other, teamwork, and how to work with one another. And also we learned graphic design skills, physics, how we can tackle all problems with physics. And it was a really great journey, and I thank my teacher for helping us a lot. And thank you for listening to us today.
Thank you, girls, for that great presentation. Let's move now to the last group. Actually, Fatma Marwan, are you ready to present your PBL?
I am.
Okay, great.
Okay. In the early days of 2020, COVID had become a challenge that changed the way we live. We had to stay at home to prevent getting the virus and spreading it around the world. And the project, we as students had to come up with a solution that helps us slow the spread of the virus in our community. We had to analyze data about the virus and learn about our community and the people around it. And we had to search up ways to avoid the virus without exactly social distancing and contact tracking. So in the project, I had to make a plan that consists of steps such as summary, SMART objectives, target market features, benefits of the product itself. I also had to do a market research, the people, the community itself. But here are the most important steps that I had to take. So brainstorming the project was a bit hard because I had to think of a way to an innovative way to slow the spread of the virus, and that actually works. The way I started brainstorming my idea is analyzing the data that the scientists had to inform us about the virus itself and learning about the intervention of social distancing. After a few days of brainstorming, I had finally came up with my idea. Before I can even start making my product, I had to do a market research. It took me around 10 days because I had to write a research that informs of data collection, planning the actual product. I even had to search about the market itself, the community, the virus itself, so to make sure that the product will work efficiently. I have found my target market, which was people from the middle classes from all around the region. The product was based on helping people. That's why we don't focus mostly in the income. It can go to people from female and male. We have custom made from female and male, and we also have customs for kids. So my product is Watchly. Watchly is a watch. Is a watch that tracks and maps the routes. It measures heart rate. It's basically like a digital watch, but it has a Bluetooth that detects the people around you. It can also detect their fevers and send signals to your phone to alert you if someone sick is around you. So my product, my packaging and appealing of the product was so simple. We didn't want to make it we didn't want to make it big that the people won't enjoy wearing it. So this is one of the prototypes that I have made of the Watchly. Some of the features that it has: it can check your heartbeat. It can change. It can also. It is also water and shock resistant. It has a Bluetooth that sends signals to your phone. It can even contact your doctors in case of an emergency. It can call for help faster. Some of the benefits that Watchly has is the product maintains distance between people. It also helps with medical report, and it can, as I said, it can call help faster, and it can send information to your doctor in case of an emergency. So some of the lessons that I have learned from this project is, first of all, starting with a big project, you have to break it down into small bits, because we can make it to a steps that is actionable and gets to work. And to make a project move in the right direction and produce the best product, we have to be creative and innovative. Sometimes you have to be creative. You need to take time out occasionally and ask the question whether will it work and whether will work efficiently in our community. Some of the problems that I have faced is not finding a person who works with tech to help me get into details with my prototype. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fatma, for your presentation. So now I believe we've gone through all of these for the spread presentations, but before we leave, I'm going to leave you girls. We're going to watch the learning journey video of the PBL together just for a couple of minutes before we conclude this event. So let me present just the video tab. Can you all see the video?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
The UN reported that every day approximately 8 million pieces of plastic pollution finds its way to our ocean, and 12 million tons of plastic are thrown into the ocean on a yearly basis. A serious belief amongst people that aliens exist and will pay Mother Earth a visit very soon. Researchers are trying to explore the formation of aliens. However, the good news is that DNS students are working on solving all of these problems throughout their PBL. They are not being taught in an ordinary way, yet they are learning their subjects by solving the latest problems with their fresh mindsets.
This is Noor Farisi, and I'm going to be discussing the scientific background of our project. The hand sanitizer, also known as the hand antiseptic or hand rub, is a agent.
So my question is, how does temperature affect the transition of infected droplets?
Usually high temperature and high humidity, it is slow the spread and it can affect the virus, but not when it is inside the body.
This material called antimicrobial copper, oligodynamic effect.
Regarding to my knowledge, I think disinfection is a constant procedure. It cannot be something you put on. That's why you have to wash your hands repeatedly.
My distance wristband is manufactured in the most advanced way. It has a high quality.
Hello everyone, I'm here today. Me and my teammates to invite all of you to come and join us on our journey.
After heating our mixture, we let it cool down.
As a child, I was always told stories of an ancient civilization of aliens in a galaxy far, far.
We never again thought that we'd ever come across this type of information, but again, it was really informational. It was a fun project to work on. We've recorded many videos. We've presented this. We've written our PBL. It was extremely fun, and we'd love to do it again.
So thank you everybody for your support, and thank you to the students for your excellent presentations. Before you leave, I encourage you on the PBL virtual fair to leave your feedback. If you go to the feedback corner, you'll find a link that will take you to Padlet. We'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you.